Welcome to Lantern Light. There is nothing you need to remember and nothing you need to keep track of. You may drift in and out of the words. The story will remain quiet beside you. You have come to a tea house at the edge of a canal in Chang'an in the 8th century, in the hour when the last of the daylight is folding quietly into evening. This is a low timber building, its roofline gentle and unadorned, set back just far enough from the water that the stone bank forms a narrow walkway between the door and the canal itself. The paper screens along the front of the building are lit faintly from within, glowing a soft amber that holds steady as the street around you begins to empty. You are listening to sleep through history. There is no pressure here, and nothing you need to keep track of. You may drift at any moment, and you do not need to follow every word. The canal at this hour is still. The water reflects the light from the oil lamps mounted on wooden posts along the bank, each lamp doubled on the surface in a wavering line of gold. Small ripples widen from nothing and are gone again before you can trace their source. The stone edge of the canal is dark and cool to the touch, worn smooth by decades of footsteps and the brushing of sleeves. Autumn has thinned the willows along the bank, and their trailing branches hang nearly motionless, stirring only when the faintest breath of air moves along the water. You hear the last guests departing. Their voices are soft, trailing off into murmurs as they step from the threshold onto the stone walkway. There is the shuffle of cloth shoes, unhurried, and then the sound of the door being drawn closed without force. The tea house does not close in any sudden way. It simply empties, the way a breath releases without effort, and the silence that follows is not hollow but full, textured by the small sounds that remain. You step inside, or you understand that you're already inside, seated near the lacquered table at the center of the main room. The oil lamp is close, its flame steady and upright in the still air. It casts a warm pool of light across the dark wood of the table, catching the grain and the faint sheen of lacquer. The paper screens along the canal-facing wall hold the lamplight and return it softened so that the whole room seems to breathe a mild amber warmth. The floor beneath you is covered in rush matting, rough beneath your hand if you reach down, and the timber pillars that hold the roof are smooth at shoulder height, worn by the passage of countless hands over countless evenings. At the back of the room, the host is moving without urgency. You see the figure collecting a cloth from a shelf, straightening something you cannot quite make out in the dimmer light beyond the lamp's reach. The host's footsteps on the wooden boards are unhurried, each one placed, each one settled. There is no task the host is rushing toward. The work of closing the tea house is a series of small gestures, each one complete in itself, and the host moves through them with the ease of long practice. Chang'an in the 8th century was among the largest cities in the world, a place of wide avenues and walled districts, of merchants and officials and travelers arriving from the Silk Road routes to the west. But this tea house is at the edge of all of that, beside the canal, at the hour when the city quiets. The tea served here would have been compressed into dense cakes and then broken apart, simmered rather than steeped, seasoned sometimes with salt. The practice of drinking tea was still finding its forms in this century. A scholar named Lu Yu was alive in this era and would eventually compose a celebrated text on the way of tea. Tonight, none of that matters as a fact. What matters is the warmth in the cup and the stillness in the room. The room is settling into evening, the way it always does. You notice the brazier near the wall, its charcoal spent and cooling. The faint mineral smell of it mixing with the vegetal traces of steeped tea leaves and the green dampness that drifts in from the canal. The air is cool but not cold, held in a gentle equilibrium between the warmth that lingers inside and the autumn chill beyond the screens. On the table before you, a ceramic cup sits half empty, its thin lip smooth against your fingertip if you reach for it. The host moves past, and you hear the soft knock of another cup being set down on a tray. No urgency in the sound, no haste. Outside, the canal water laps faintly against the stone. A timber board creaks somewhere in the structure above you, settling as the evening deepens. Distant geese pass once, their calls fading quickly, and they do not return. The lamplight does not waver. The host continues the work of straightening, folding, placing things in their proper order, and you are welcome to remain as long as you wish, seated at the lacquered table, breathing the cool air, watching the amber light soften through the screens and fill the room with a warmth that asks nothing of you. Your attention drifts now to the table before you, the one where the lamp rests. The surface is lacquered, dark and smooth, holding the light in a way that wood alone cannot. A small distorted version of the flame hovers there in the polished surface, trembling gently, stretched and softened by the curve of the wood beneath the lacquer. 2 cups remain on the table, left behind when the others departed. Each one holds a shallow pool of tea that has gone cool, the surface still and dark. The ceramic is pale, the glaze slightly uneven where your eye traces the rim. These are the kind of cups made in great numbers and carried from elsewhere, simple and sturdy, asking nothing more of themselves than to hold what is poured into them. In the corner, the brazier continues its slow surrender of warmth. It is a low iron vessel, blackened and plain, and the charcoal inside has long since passed the bright heat of earlier hours. Now there is only a dull orange glow at the very center, a small core of light that dims and brightens ever so slightly as the air moves through the room in ways too gentle to be called wind. The heat it offers is modest and even, reaching you without insistence, the kind of warmth that asks nothing of you, that simply exists in the space and lets you rest within it. The host moves through the room now, crossing from the doorway toward the table with that same unhurried pace you noticed before. There is no haste in the movement, no sense that one task must be finished before another can begin. The host reaches the table, fingers closing around the first cup, then the second, lifting them both with a kind of attention that is not quite care and not quite habit, something older and quieter than either. The host turns and moves toward the back of the room, footsteps marking the passage across the wooden boards. 4 steps, 5, 6, each one settling into the timber with a soft sound that does not echo. Then the soft knock of ceramic meeting ceramic as the cups are set into a basin somewhere beyond your view. Follows a breath of stillness. Then the footsteps return, steady and unhurried, tracing the same path back across the room. Your gaze finds the paper screens now, the ones that line the wall facing the canal. The lamplight reaches them and does not simply pass through. Instead, it seems to rest there, caught and held in the fibers of the paper, so that each screen glows softly as though the light were coming from within the paper itself. Beyond the screens, you can sense the presence of the water, the dark surface of the canal moving in its patient way. A ripple passes, catching a trace of the lamplight for just a moment, holding it and then releasing it back into the darkness. Beneath you, the floor is covered in rush matting, woven tight and firm. The color is slightly pale where many feet have crossed over the same path. Day after day, season after season. Near the walls, where fewer steps have fallen, the matting is darker, the rushes less worn. Your weight is settled into it now, and the matting accepts this without complaint. There is no tension in the floor, no sense that it might shift or yield in unexpected ways. It simply holds you, the way it has held countless others, the way it will continue to hold what is placed upon it. The smells of the room reach you more fully now, each one distinct and yet part of a single atmosphere. There is the mineral and slightly bitter trace of tea, not from the cups alone, but from the many times tea has been made and poured here today, the scent absorbed into the wood of the table and the grain of the walls. The charcoal smoke is nearly gone, only the faintest thread of it resting in the air without sharpness or sting. And beneath these, carried through the gap around the door, comes the faint, cold, mineral smell of the canal, that green, damp presence of water that has traveled a long way and will travel further still. These smells are not new or surprising. They are the smells the room has always had at this hour, familiar and constant, woven into the very air you breathe. The lamp continues its quiet work, burning without hurry. The flame moves in its small, endless dance, and the light spreads through the room in soft, amber waves, touching the pillars, the screens, the surface of the table, your own hands resting in your lap. The host moves again, this time lifting a folded cloth from somewhere near the brazier, carrying it to the table, setting it down with the same gentle attention given to every other small task. Outside, the last trace of blue has left the sky. The darkness is complete now, settled over the city and the water and this small room alike. The cool air continues to drift in from the canal, meeting the warmth from the brazier, the two finding their balance in the space between. The room is settling into evening the way it always does. You can feel your own breath moving in the same unhurried rhythm, in and out, steady and slow. There is nothing you need to attend to, nothing that requires your thought or effort. The host will continue the small tasks of closing the day and you may simply rest here, held by the floor, warmed by the brazier, surrounded by the gentle amber light. The canal moves in its patient current beyond the screens. The lamp burns. The room holds you. The host has returned to the far side of the room and is folding a cloth in the lamplight. The movement is slow, each gesture complete before the next one begins. One edge is brought to meet another, the cloth smoothed flat with a palm, then folded again. The sound is almost nothing, just a soft weight against the shelf where it is set down, a whisper of fabric compressed and released. You can watch this from where you rest, or you can simply know it is happening. Either way, the host's attention is absorbed in the task, not hurried, not delayed, just present in the motion of hands and cloth and lamplight. Your gaze drifts back to the oil lamp on the table. The flame is small and oval, burning steadily in air that does not stir it. It does not gutter. The wick has been trimmed at some point earlier in the evening, and the flame burns clean, with only the faintest thread of smoke rising and dissolving before it reaches the ceiling. The light it casts is amber, warm and gentle, spreading across the lacquered surface of the table and catching the rim of the cup left there. The light does not reach the corners of the room, which are soft and dark and entirely unthreatening. They hold their shadows easily, the way corners do when there is no need to see into them. The flame is the same flame you noticed earlier. It has not changed. The oil feeds it at the same pace, and the air around it is still, and the light continues to pool in the same places it has pooled all evening. The timber pillars stand where they have always stood, round and worn smooth, each one carrying the weight of the roof beams above. The grain of the wood runs in long, slow lines that the lamplight makes visible, tracing paths down the length of each pillar from ceiling to floor. A hand resting against one of these pillars would feel the slight coolness of old timber, the grain under the fingertips, the solidity of something that has stood through many evenings like this one. The wood does not ask to be noticed. It simply holds what it has always held, patient and unmoving. The lamplight catches the pillar nearest you, shows you the texture of the surface, the small variations in color where the grain darkens and lightens again. You do not need to reach out. The knowing is enough. Beyond the screens, beyond the door, the canal is dark and still now. The lamps on the canal posts burn without motion, their reflections long and unbroken on the surface of the water. No boats are moving at this hour. The surface of the water is as close to flat as water ever gets, holding the last of the evening light in a way that asks nothing of you. It is simply there, as it was before, as it will be after. The host has finished with the cloth and is now moving around the room, not inspecting it, simply present in it, the way a person is present in a place they have known for a long time. The footsteps are the same footsteps you heard when you first arrived, unhurried, each one settled before the next begins. The rhythm of them is steady. The sound of them belongs to this room. You hear the host near the brazier. There is a faint shift, perhaps a hand checking the warmth that still rises from the spent charcoal, though the motion makes no sound you can name. Then the footsteps continue, tracing a path you do not need to follow, around the edge of the room and back again. The room is the same room it was a few minutes ago. The lamp is the same lamp. The flame burns with the same small, oval steadiness. The warmth from the brazier is still present, still even, still asking nothing. The cool air drifts in from the canal, meeting the warmth at some invisible boundary in the middle of the room, and the two settle into balance without effort. Everything the listener needs is already here. The lacquered table, the half-empty cup, the soft darkness in the corners, the pillars holding their weight, the host moving without purpose other than to be present in the evening. There is nothing new to attend to. The sounds are the sounds you have already heard. The light falls where it has already fallen. The textures are the textures your hands already know or could know if you wished. The room is settling into evening, the way it always does. The host's footsteps have stopped now. There is only the faint creak of timber settling, the barely audible presence of the canal beyond the door, the lamp burning its small, steady flame. The air is cool where it drifts in, warm where it lingers near the brazier. Your breath moves with the same ease, in and out, without thought. The light from the lamp catches the edge of the folded cloth on the shelf. It catches the grain of the pillar. It rests on the surface of the table and does not move. You do not need to watch the flame. You do not need to listen for the footsteps. Everything continues as it has continued, steady and unhurried, and you are held in the center of it, in the warmth and the cool air and the amber light that asks nothing at all. The evening deepens. The room remains. The host is still here, somewhere in the quiet. The lamp still burns, and you are exactly where you need to be. The lamp is still there on the table, the same small, steady flame you noticed when you first arrived. The amber light it gives has not changed. It pools across the lacquered surface the way it did before, catching the grain, warming the dark wood into something softer. The same light moves through the paper of the screens, settling into those broad panels, the way it has been settling all along. The table itself has not moved. The cups rest where they were left, half empty, their glaze holding faint traces of lamplight along the curved edges. The lacquered surface beneath them is smooth and cool and utterly still. Your hand might rest there, or might have rested there already. The wood does not ask anything of you. Somewhere in the back of the house, a footstep sounds on the boards. Just one, or perhaps two. The host is there, moving through rooms you cannot see, but the sound arrives without urgency and passes in the same way. It does not ask you to follow. It does not attach to anything. It is only the sound of someone moving through a familiar space, and then it is gone, and the room around you remains exactly as it was. The brazier holds whatever warmth it holds. The charcoal has been spent for some time now. Whatever heat it gave has already left the iron and moved into the air, into the timber beams overhead, into the rush matting beneath you, into the walls and the screens and everything the room is made of. The warmth is not coming from any single place now. It is simply here, held in all the surfaces that have been holding it long enough to give some back. Old rooms are warm this way, not with fire, but with memory. The lamp on the table does not waver. The flame is small and steady, the same flame, burning the same oil in the same shallow vessel. The light it makes pools in the same places. Across the table, into the screens, along the smooth pillars where the grain runs upward into shadow. You have seen this light before. You are seeing it again. It has not left, and it does not change. The rush matting beneath you is still rough and firm, woven tight, holding its shape the way it has held its shape for years. It does not shift. It does not give. It is the same surface you have been resting on all this time, and it remains exactly as it was. Another footstep, or the memory of one, sounds faintly from somewhere deeper in the house. The host is there, straightening things perhaps, setting things in their place, but there is no hurry in it. The sound does not call out. It simply exists for a moment and then fades, and you do not need to hold it. You do not need to know where it came from or where it went. It was only a footstep, and now it is not, and the room is exactly as it was before. The room is settling into evening the way it always does. The screens are pale with lamplight, the same warm glow filtering through the paper, soft and even and unchanged. The light does not brighten. It does not dim. It rests there in the paper the way it has been resting, and the paper holds it without effort. These are the same screens. This is the same light. You have noticed them before. You are noticing them again. The table is lacquered and smooth. The cups are half empty. The lamp is small and steady. These are not new things. They are the things that have been here all along, returned to now, the way your attention returns to familiar shapes in a familiar room. They do not ask to be noticed. They do not change when you look at them. They are simply here, the way they have been here, and they remain. The warmth in the room is the warmth that has already gathered. The brazier is cool now, or nearly cool, the charcoal spent and silent in its iron cradle. But the room itself holds warmth. The beams overhead, the matting below, the walls and the pillars and the screens. Everything has been warm long enough that the warmth is no longer arriving. It is simply present, given back in small measures by everything around you. The host's footsteps sound once more, faint and far, a soft knock of heel on wood somewhere in the back rooms. The sound does not hurry. It does not insist. It comes and it goes, and you do not follow it. It is only the sound of someone moving through their own house, through rooms they know, and it fades without needing anything from you. The lamp on the table is the same lamp. The flame is the same flame. The light it gives pools across the lacquered surface, amber and warm, catching the grain of the wood, softening into the screens. You have seen this before. It has not changed. It is still here, steady and small, burning without hurry, without end. The table is still. The matting holds. The screens are pale with light. These are the same things, noticed again, the way familiar things grow softer the longer you remain with them. They do not ask to be new. They do not ask to be different. They are simply here as they have been, as they remain. The room holds its warmth. The lamp holds its light. The host moves somewhere in the back of the house. Footsteps soft and occasional, never hurried. And the room around you, the same room, settles into evening the way it always does, without effort, without change, holding everything it has been holding, giving back what it has to give. You rest here now, breathing with the room, and the room breathing with you. There is no difference between the two at this hour. The air moves in, cool from the canal, and moves out again, carrying warmth. Your breath does the same, in and out, without effort, without thought. The lamp burns on the table, amber and steady. Its light catches the grain of the timber, the same grain it has caught all evening, the same warmth spreading through the screens. Nothing has changed. The glow pools softly on the lacquered surface, on the cups left where they were, on everything that remains. The charcoal in the brazier has gone quiet now. It holds its warmth the way stone holds the sun after dark, asking nothing, simply being what it is. You can feel that warmth from where you rest, a presence, more than a heat, something the room knows and keeps. Beyond the screens, the canal water moves, or perhaps it only seems to move. The sound is barely a sound at all. It is more a quality of the air, a softness at the edge of hearing, the way breath itself can be heard if you listen without trying. Your own breath continues, slower now, each one arriving when it arrives, leaving when it leaves. There is no need to follow it. It knows the way. Somewhere in the back of the house, the host moves through the darkness, setting things straight. The footsteps are quieter now, or perhaps they are only farther away, or perhaps you are no longer keeping track. It does not matter. The host does not need the lamp to do this work. The rooms are known. The objects find their places in the dark. The table remains. The lamp remains. The amber warmth spreading through the screens, holding the evening, remains. Everything as it was, everything still. You let your weight settle the way the house has settled, the way the evening settles into night. There is nothing to hold. Your body rests against what holds it, and that is enough. The light on the table does not waver. It burns as it has burned, asking nothing, simply giving its warmth to the room. The screens take that warmth and soften it, and the walls hold it, and the air carries it, and you rest within it. The host's footsteps have faded now, or perhaps they have simply become part of the quiet, part of the texture of the evening, no longer separate from the creak of timber or the faint presence of water beyond the screens. Everything moves together, or everything is still together. It is the same thing. Your breath continues its slow rhythm, in from the cool air, out into the warmth. The room breathes with you. There is no effort in this. There never was. The lamp, the table, the warmth that remains in the brazier, in the timber, in the air itself. These things continue, and they will continue, whether you follow them or not. You rest deeper now, the weight of your body no longer something you notice, only something that is. The light softens, or perhaps your eyes soften, or perhaps there is no difference. The house holds you the way it holds everything within it. The cups, the screens, the timber pillars, worn smooth at shoulder height by all the evenings that came before this one. You are held the same way, without effort, without question. Beyond the screens, the water continues its faint movement, its almost sound. The air carries the green dampness of the canal, the mineral trace of steeped leaves, the quietness of autumn settling over everything. The host is still somewhere in the back of the house, or perhaps the host has finished and is resting too. It does not matter. The work is done or the work continues, and either way, there is no hurry. The lamp burns. The table holds the light. The screens hold the room holds the evening, and all of it continues softly, warmly, without you needing to keep watch. Your breath slows, the light remains. Everything as it is, everything still,